everybody, welcome to Natty's Home Cooking, and today we are going to be making the ciabatta bread. It's kind of similar to making the sourdough bread in some ways, but we are going to be using yeast this time, not the starter. So you will need, for just a single batch, this is what it would be, but today I'm doing a double batch. So if you want to follow this recipe, this will be the one that you would do for just a single batch. So, but we're doing a double. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And let's go over here. I almost started without video recording. That's why you see a little bit of flour. So we're going to go ahead and add in our flour. Okay guys, and once we add that flour, let's make a well for the yeast, and I like to put the yeast into this well. I use one packet, but for a single batch, but since I'm doing a double batch, it will be two. And then we'll add the warm water. So you're going to add that warm water into that well, and I like to sometimes just let it sit a little bit before stirring. And then you want to use, I don't use metal on any of my yeast, not even my starter. I like to use a wooden spoon or a plastic spoon. And even when I'm mixing in a bowl, I always like to either put it in a ceramic bowl or a glass bowl. So you're just going to mix this up just a little bit, not too much, because I want to add the salt into this. The reason why I don't add the salt, and by the way, you want to add a little bit of water on top of that salt, the remaining of that water. So you're just going to add the 2 cups at the very beginning of warm water. I'm sorry. You're going to add 1 cup of the warm water at the very beginning and add the rest of it in at the end with the salt. And then you'll just mix it all up, and then you'll just cover it and let it sit for at least 2 to 3 hours. I think I'd let mine sit for about 3 hours while I was working, and on my break I went and took it out of the garage, because I like to put my dough into the garage and let it set out there because it's so humid. Now I'm going to wet my hands here just like that, and we're just going to go underneath this, and if it starts to stick to your hands, wet your hands just a little bit more. Don't like bring in a whole bunch of water on top of this dough. You just want to wet your hands, get them a little moisture on there, and then go back to stretch and fold. We're going to stretch and fold just like what we did on the sourdough bread, the first video. So just go ahead and do your stretch and folds until you find that you can't really do that much stretch and fold anymore. Okay, and then once you get done, you're going to recover it again, and then we're going to let it sit again out there in the garage or wherever the humidity is for you in your home, until it's doubled up in size again. And then we'll come back and we'll do the stretch and fold again. We're going to do this in 3 sets. Okay, I usually do it every 40 minutes to an hour, and then I'll do that stretch and fold. So in between those stretch and folds, wait an hour or 40 minutes, however long that dough has rised up a little bit. So mine's starting to get pretty good now, where I can go ahead and cover this and set it right on back out there in the garage. And then I'll let it rise a little bit more and bring it in again and redo that stretch and fold. Okay guys, this is round 2. So now we're going to do the stretch and fold again. Make sure hands are wet. Okay, before putting your hands in there, because it's going to be a little sticky. So just do the stretch and folds, and you're going to notice that it's a little bit more wiggly. That's because the bubbles are collecting there, which is great. That's what you want, because ciabatta bread has like a little bit of holes in the bread, and that's due to the stretch and folds that you do, because it's collecting those bubbles. And when you're doing these stretch and folds, don't overstretch that, because you're going to rip it all up. You don't want to do that. You just want to do enough to where it's coming up just a little bit, and just fold it over, and then keep turning your bowl around until you're all done. Okay. All right guys, we're on round 3. This is our last round. Look how much it has doubled. It's actually gotten really huge. This is good. That means that there's a lot of bubbles into this. So that's what you want. You want it to look just like this. So we're going to wet our hands again. We're going to get in there and we're going to just slowly go ahead and do the stretch and folds. Just kind of pull it apart off the... That's why I like to butter up my bowl, and I didn't do it with this one, and I should have. So because the butter kind of helps it a little bit better when pulling it apart like this. So yeah, I should have done that. That was my mistake. But just continue to go around the bowl and do the stretch and fold, okay? And you're going to do that until you can't really do it too much anymore. Okay, remember, don't overstretch it. Okay, and then after you get done with your stretch and fold on this one, set it out there in the garage or in the humidity area for another 45 minutes to an hour until it's doubled up in size. And that's going to be your last. Okay guys, we are now getting ready to, after this, I want to go ahead, since now that it's been sitting out there for about an hour, we're going to go ahead and get our table area ready. We're going to get our parchment paper on our pan for our dough. So I'm getting that together right now, and we will sprinkle a little bit of flour on the surface here so that when we bring in our dough, we can just pull it, put it on top of this. And what you'll do is you'll take your bowl and turn it upside down, and you're just going to shake it a little bit. You may need to help it out a little bit, but that's okay. All right, but you can see those bubbles. Okay, so now we're just going to flip it over. Okay, and it looks like I may have to help it out just a little bit. It's starting to come out. All right. Okay, just going to finish up bringing it out here. Just be careful not to overwork the dough, please, because then it will not turn out as great. So you don't really want to mess with it too much. What we're going to do, since I've done this as a double, I have to divide this in half. So, but it looks beautiful. Looks really, really pretty. Okay, I'm going to take this dough scraper, and I love to use these. These are perfect for this. So I like to just kind of like fold it up just a little bit, sprinkle a little bit more underneath there if I need to, because I don't really want it to stick, and then I just cut it in half just like that. Now remember guys, this is going to be a little flimsy and a little bit like, you'll see it like a jello-y type dough, which is fine. You want it that way, but you can see the bubbles in here. They look beautiful. Okay, so we're going to do that with the other. I always like to fold them up on the ends and then roll it up. Just like that. I'm not working it too hard. We're not kneading it. We're just kind of just push and pull away, okay? Just because I want it to get all nice and tight, but also have those bubbles still created in there. Alright, so it looks really, really good. And once you get all these done and shaped up into a little ball like this, we're going to just put it on our parchment paper pan and just scoop it up with your little dough scraper here. Being very, very careful. You don't want to overwork it. Okay, and just plop it on there. Just like so. And look at all those bubbles. Wow, those are big bubbles. Okay, so now that we got that on the pan, what we're going to do, we're actually going to just coat it with some little bit of flour and rub it lightly on top of there. Okay, just lightly, not too hard. Okay, just like that. I personally like to do my scoring on my dough on the top here. You don't really have to, but I do just so it doesn't burst out. So you can actually, do your scoring on the top of the dough here. And then once you get done scoring it, you want to, and by the way, if you don't know what scoring is, you take a nice little razor blade and you just cut little like lines into it. Some people like to do designs like wheatgrass or a leaf or, you know, just like that. That's fine. Okay, and so what you'll do is you're gonna let it sit out in the, you know, the humid area again for about, I would say about maybe the most 15 to 20 minutes. And then you're gonna bring it in and make sure at that, when you're letting it sit out there, warm up your oven to at least 450 and then put it in the oven and let it cook for about, I usually let mine cook about 30 to 45 minutes until it's gotten nice and, you know, big and not burnt. You don't want it to have be burnt, but nice and, you know, either like a light coating or until you know it's done. Okay. And then after you take it out of the oven, let it sit on the counter and cool down a little bit. You don't want to start cutting on into it because it's not going to turn out as well. You want it to sit a little bit before cutting into it. Okay, so I'm going to show you the rest of the video. Alright, you guys, thanks so much for watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, I hope you enjoyed the video, you know, learning how to make ciabatta bread. And by the way, when you make it, you can actually freeze this ciabatta bread and, you know, use it for like when you're having spaghetti or stuff like that. You can make garlic bread. You can make sandwiches out of these. These are so amazing and so wonderful. But yeah, I love making these. They're so much fun. And I'm going to show you what it looks like inside. They are so beautiful. Look at those bubbles too. Look how it turned out just because we had so many of them. Because you want that bubbly look on top of it. And it looks great. It looks really, really good. Alright, so we're going to cut one open and so that I can show you what it looks like inside. Alright guys, look at the inside of this. This is amazing. It looks really good. Alright guys, have a wonderful night. Talk to you later.